What's up, folks? Addy here, and we are talking to Garland Favorito of Voter GA, and he just had actually some good news here on Tuesday in his suit, which went to the Georgia Supreme Court, and they just overturned or vacated a ruling by Judge Amaro in a lower court, and that actually pertained both to Garland Favorito's case and Caroline Jeffords' case. And Garland will explain that in a second here as well. But thanks for chatting with me again, Garland. It's good to connect. And yeah, can you clarify what happened exactly and why this is good news?
It's really good news, Addy, and thanks for having me on. So this is the case. This is the famous Fulton County counterfeit ballot case. This was the case where we had 4 sworn affidavits from senior poll managers who claimed that they handled counterfeit ballots in the Fulton County audit. And when we tried to go to court on this, we filed a lawsuit. Caroline Jeffords also were 2 plaintiffs in this lawsuit, which we had split. We have 2 different cases, exact same case. And so we filed this lawsuit, and the judge, we went to court several times over a period of 10 months. We were won something every time we went to court. We got a protective order on the ballots. We got the images, ballot images. We got an order we beat back a motion to dismiss, and then we got an order to inspect the ballots. And then suddenly Fulton County went out and hired criminal defense attorneys to keep us from seeing the ballots. That tells you a lot, doesn't it? And then the judge suddenly rules that we don't have standing after 10 months, something that should have been decided immediately in the first hearing back in January of 2021, almost 2 years ago. That's when he should have made that decision. So it was a really bizarre decision. It was a very egregious decision. And I've been claiming for the last year, ever since he made it, over a year, that we really have had standing all along, because his order cherry-picked an 11th Circuit ruling against Lynn Wood, and it violated all of the United States Supreme Court precedents for over 100 years, and all of the precedents in the state of Georgia existing since the state was created in 1788. So that's how egregious the ruling was. And I've been saying that, yeah, we really have standing. The judge made a bad decision. And quite honestly, a lot of people didn't believe me, and I don't really totally fault them for not believing me. But in reality, we appealed this to the Georgia Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals, we listed all of the case precedents, both in the state of Georgia and in the United States Supreme Court, cases that dated back to 1915. And the Court of Appeals upheld the lower court decision and never ruled on a single one of our precedents, just pretended that we didn't even have anything in there. So we appealed it to the Georgia Supreme Court, and our attorney, I got to give my hats off to Todd Harding. He made the right approach. He said that, it could have been different approaches, but he said that, yes, we have always had standing. Another approach that some of the other plaintiffs used was that we don't need standing, which is that's also an interesting argument. But the approach that won the day was Todd's, and basically the Georgia Supreme Court agreed with them, and they basically confirmed what we had known all along, that anyone has standing to sue a government official who violates the law of any kind. And it's always been that way in Georgia. And the Supreme Court confirmed it, as they said, citizens, residents, and taxpayers have standing to sue these government officials or government agency for that matter. And the way they did that in another case first, before they did it in Ayers. And a lot of this got some notoriety as well. It was called the Sons of Confederate Veterans case, where a group of individuals and the Sons of Confederate Veterans had sued for the illegal removal of Confederate monuments by Henry and Newton County. The same judge in that case, Judge Amero, said they did not have standing. But then they were overturned by the Georgia Supreme Court, and just about a month before our ruling. And the Georgia Supreme Court said that all citizens, residents, and taxpayers have standing. And on page 50 of that order, which is up on our Voter GA legal tab, they said we extend this to voters because voters are also community stakeholders, just like citizens, residents, and taxpayers. And therefore, they also have the same right to sue. And they have had this right all along based on the Georgia Supreme Court. So it was a really exciting ruling. I think it will have national implications because other states can use it in their own briefs, even though the courts don't legally have to recognize those briefs. But I think that this was one of the greatest voting rights violations in the history of America, because we have waited 2 years to simply see ballots that we have alleged are counterfeit. And we have been denied access for over 2 years in a very, very egregious and what I would consider to be a corrupt ruling. So I'm really, really excited about it. And I'm just, I can't even begin to tell you how ecstatic we are. We surprised all of our people at our Christmas party was the very same day of this ruling. We got it at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we kept it secret from them and rolled up the scrolls. And I told them we had a Christmas gift for everybody. And then we blew the confetti, pop confetti, and celebrated this incredible win.
Wow, that's awesome, Garland. And now that means down the road you can actually get legal discovery on ballots from 2020?
That is exactly what the bottom line of this is, Addy. Now the case will go back to the Georgia Court of Appeals, and then it will go to the Court of Appeals will have to overturn their own decision, send it back to Judge Amero. Judge Amero has no more excuse for delaying discovery, and discovery should basically start pretty much right away. He might decide to have a hearing. If so, we'll be prepared, and we will look to open that discovery immediately. And of course, the first thing is we want to see those ballots, and we also have a motion to preserve them, which they still should be intact at this time.
Okay, wow. And do you have any idea for a timeline on that? Probably all next year at some point?
Yeah, it'll certainly be next year, but exactly when, we don't know. I don't know. Ironically, the Supreme Court also kicked back the Sons of Confederate Veterans case to Judge Amero because he made the same bad ruling in that case as well, not wanting to deal with things that are politically incorrect. He gave both groups a political decision and not a judicial decision.
Right, and that's the precedent that the Supreme Court used for your case and Miss Jeffords' case.
Exactly. That's what they used. They made that ruling about a month before, and as soon as they said that on page 50, and they said they extended to voters, we knew that they had to overturn our case as well. So we've been excited, and again, my hats off to Todd Harding, our attorney, because he told us to watch this Sons of Confederate Veterans case, and we've been watching that for over the year. That case has also been through the appeals court, just like ours, and on to the Georgia Supreme Court. So he told us, that case is exactly identical to ours. Keep an eye on it, and and sure enough, we did. And as soon as that ruling came out that voters had standing, even though they hadn't applied it to our case yet, we knew that we were going to be in really good shape. So we've been pretty excited about this for a month.
Awesome. That's great. Excellent to hear, Garland. Anything else you want to share tonight? Anything exclusive you want to give us, or what you hope to see or looking to see in the near future?
Well, we can take a look at that order, Addy. I
Oh
know
yeah,
you've
let
got
me
it
bring it up.
there.
Yeah.
And we'll show. We put this all on a little Christmas card for our members, and this is what we sent out. And this, of course, is also up on the Voter GA homepage. And there's the order. You can read it for yourself. The petition for cert, we call it cert, is granted. The judgment is vacated, and the case is remanded to the Court of Appeals for reconsideration in light of Sons of Confederate Veterans v. Henry County Board of Commissioners, which is exactly what we just talked about. The one other thing that's interesting in this, Addy, is that all of the justices concurred without a hearing. We never even had to go into court. That's how egregious the ruling was to begin with. And they all concurred except Justice Pinson, who was disqualified because he had been on the Court of Appeals ruling originally. And then, ironically, right after that ruling, he got promoted to the Georgia Supreme Court by Governor Brian Kemp. So that's the case, Favorito v. Juan, and we are just thrilled with the ruling that came on Tuesday, December 20th.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, thank you, Garland. Yeah, I remember actually writing about that. Isn't his name Andrew Pinson? I know he's very young. Very
He
young
is
justice.
very young, and I honestly cannot remember right now at the moment. We believe that he wrote the ruling in the Georgia Court of Appeals, and it was kind of bizarre because he seemed to be very receptive to our arguments. So that was quite a surprise for us.
Okay, that is very interesting, especially given the fact he did get promoted. I think it was in the spring of this year, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, that's right. It was right after our hearing, right after the ruling that he made.
Okay, and the case for Caroline Jeffords versus Fulton County says exactly the same thing, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same case. We have been tracking together from the lower court through the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court. So they also will their case will be remanded back to the Court of Appeals. We'll track exactly identical. They have the identical case. We were all together at one time, and then we split up. Their argument was a little bit different. They argued that you did not need standing, but regardless of which way the course went, we were both of the sets of plans would benefit from that.
Right. Okay, excellent. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff, Garland, and I'm glad to hear your Christmas party went well. Additionally, yeah, anything else you want to mention? I know you have your website where people can support at voterga.com, and then you're also on Twitter as well. I saw you tweeted this news out.
Yeah, voterga.org. We are is our website, voterga.org, and we are on basically all the social media platforms. Almost all of them you can get to through with either at voterga or hashtag voterga. And we are 501c3 nonpartisan nonprofit. All donations are tax deductible, and we are all volunteers. We don't have any paid salary people, and that includes me. I'm a volunteer. So all the money goes straight to legal expenses and investigative research and so on.
Okay, excellent, Garland. And before we go, any thoughts on what's going on in Arizona with Carrie Lake and her cases over there?
Yeah, we wish her the best. I know Heather Honey testified for her yesterday, and Heather is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and she's helping us here a little bit on one of our cases here in Georgia. And we are, I'm just really encouraged. I think that, you know, I haven't been able to follow it, but it's beyond belief that Carrie Lake lost in Arizona. I'm just sorry. I will probably never believe that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Garland. And I'll put Garland's links in the show notes as well. Likewise, my buy me a coffee and support links will be there too. So thanks again, Garland. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay frosty, and we'll see everybody next time.
Thanks, Addy.